Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Jonathon Hensley, who's the co-founder and CEO of Emerge, which is a digital product consulting firm. Jonathon, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Mike.
Hey, so I want to jump into what you do and how you do it and why you do it better than anyone else, but give us a little bit of a background on yourself. What was your business background that led you to then become co-founder of a digital consulting firm?
Sure. So I happened to be in Silicon Valley at just the right time, a little over 20 years ago in the dot-com boom. And I was just absolutely fascinated by the intersection of technology and how it changes the way people live and work. And so that inspired me to get into this industry. From there, really starting to understand the psychology behind what makes great digital products and services. So whether it be a website, a mobile application, some sort of IoT product, for those familiar Internet of Things, really was the next launching platform for how I saw, where the future of business was going and the innovation that could take place across all sectors. And so that really inspired me to start Emerge with my business partner and really look at where are the gaps in delivering great products and services and helping organizations embrace technology. And so that became the genesis of our company.
So when you, it makes me now think of what's the type of client you work with? Someone that thinks, I need a digital product or service, or someone that already has one and it just needs to be taken to the next level, or maybe both?
We work with both. So a lot of companies are looking, especially now, to modernize. How do they develop digital products and services to complement their traditional or physical products in their service offerings? And then a lot of companies have digital products or services today, and they're looking how to increase that performance. What's missing? How do I create a better customer experience? How do I deliver a higher quality product that will drive our business results? And so we come in and we help those organizations as well.
So when an organization is thinking, okay, now I might want to engage to kind of build this out or take it to the next level, what are some places that you're noticing your clients that come on board that are pretty new? Where do they need to start? What are some, maybe even some pre-engagement activities that they need to be thinking of or doing before they move forward with you?
Well, some of the biggest challenges that we see both with our own customers and across the industry when we are collaborating with peers is this issue of there's a lot of organizations have great ideas, but they haven't established a foundation to actually make that idea a reality. And what's missing fundamentally when you boil that down is a solid strategy. And a lot of organizations right now are getting confused with, what is good strategy versus bad strategy. And bad strategy, in a nutshell, is really when organizations or leaders get confused as things like goals, ambition, and planning being strategy, and then they're skipping foundational steps that are going to drive the success of their product or service initiative as they go forward.
And sometimes those are not highly complex steps. They're just steps that you just don't know. And so that's why bringing in a consultant would help, like yourself, would help them to be able to kind of see, okay, well, the first step is, now here's the big picture, but the first step is this, right?
Absolutely. I think, a consultant in any facet really brings perspective. We're looking from the outside in, we're bringing expertise that can help an organization level up. And that's really, a huge value add and especially if you're embracing something new, or maybe you've had a product or service for a long time, and it's hard to rethink how to do things differently. And so we come in and we provide that expertise so we can help you drive that business outcome. And that makes a big difference.
And so let's now think about, they've come to you, you've laid out some plans, they're moving forward. I'm sure you're not going to give advice for or to the clients that would fail, but I'm sure failure is part of a process before they come to you. What are some of the steps or the missteps that you see people make with digital products that fail that you're able to then say, ooh, well, we noticed that. Let's go ahead and fix it and move forward. What are some of those fail points?
Well, it's really interesting when you think about failure. So we just spent the last 2 years doing a deep dive to understand for ourselves to reassess what is driving failure. We ran across research of that ranges anywhere between 72 and 84% of all digital initiatives fail. And so failure is either it's a catastrophic failure or it missed expectations. And why does that happen? It's an underperforming product or service. And I think a really good example of this that a lot of people can relate to is they have a website. The website has gone from brochureware and is now actually become something bigger. It's actually part of the way that you deliver your customer experience. It's part of your product and service delivery. And so in essence, that website is now a digital product itself. And when we really peeled back the layers to look at what causes failure, there was a couple of main things that really would stand out. Number one is not knowing your user or your customer journey. A lot of organizations have not stepped back and slowed down to say, okay, let's map. What do we not know about our customers? And they're focusing on a very, very narrow part of what drives their decisions about when they're engaging with their organization. But what are all the motivations and what are all the situations and what's the context of what's happening before they decide to find a solution to that problem that that potential company is providing, and then evaluating them to make sure that's the right solution for them. And so that's a huge issue in part of failure. Another one, which we see a lot of, which is an issue of internal sabotage, is this issue of managing expectations. There's a lot of optimism that usually goes with new technology, or a lot of pessimism, and there's usually not a lot of in between, depending on the organization structure. And that tends to create false expectations of what a technology solution can do, and then not putting enough emphasis on the people and the processes, or too much on the people and the processes and not enough into the technology. And so the technology is being implemented with very poor quality or no scalability. So they're literally just building hurdles to progress. And so that ends up being a really big point of failure. Another one that I don't think is going to be surprising, and you might laugh when you hear this, Mike, but is siloed knowledge. I mean, people talk about this all the time, and yet so many organizations don't have any processes on breaking that down. And siloed knowledge is such an easy thing to have happen unless you have leaders who are intentionally at all levels, not just upper management, but middle management, who really understand how to help information move upstream and downstream through an organization and how to facilitate that. And that ends up being another point of failure. There's about 8 critical ones, but one other that I really want to highlight that I think is important is this issue that goes back to the strategy part, which is skipping steps. And you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of people that are building digital products and services today, just, they may come from one background, as maybe they have an engineering background or they have a marketing background as product managers, and they're trying to help their organizations build these new products and services. But you have to be trilingual. You have to know business, you have to know technology, you have to know great customer experience, and you have to make sure that you're taking the right steps to bring all of those things together. And that typically is also one of the major points of failure that companies get stuck with.
So you rolled out a whole lot there. I'm going to unpack a couple points that stood out to me, and the last one there kind of reminds me of ready, fire, aim. Right? So it's like, don't skip steps. Don't try to just go fire, fire, fire. You got to, in fact, it really should be ready, 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 aim, 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 fire, fire, that kind of thing. Because too many people go, let's go. And they jump, and it's like, ooh, we shouldn't have done that. So I think that's a really, really big piece there that you just brought up. Another one that I loved was the buyer's journey, because I feel that too many people, again, skip steps, get right to sell, 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 and they don't realize what's going to resonate with their target audience. And they become, I loved your phrase about brochureware. So a nice little soundbite. Another soundbite is, becoming myopic to their own organization. They just think, oh, everybody knows that, so I'm going to jump in and start talking about, well, they don't know your organization, your product. So you need to be able to explain it kind of like a 6-year-old to a 6-year-old. And if you cannot explain your product or service to a 6-year-old, maybe you don't know it enough to be able to simplify it down. So being able to explain and draw people through the buyer's journey is really important. And then that leads me to my question, which is, yes, you're digital, but are there elements of digital that need to play nicely and integrate with traditional to draw people through that buyer's journey? Because there are going to be some people that aren't 100% on digital. You're not going to draw them through this digital piece to that digital piece to a sale. Maybe it's going to be from your app over to a webinar, over to download our white paper. And yeah, there's elements of digital, but speak a little bit about the integration of different digital marketing pieces.
Absolutely. So I think one of the biggest things is that you see a lot of companies in our space that are very focused on, for example, we're a design firm or we're a development firm. When you're a product company, you have to be looking at the entire customer journey like you're talking about. And even though we focus on digital products or services, we're looking at both online and offline touch points, the moments that matter for customers. And we have to do that because when you look at the research, great customer experience means you're 3 times more likely on average to exceed your business goals. Statistically, if you have great customer experience, it drives over 2/3 of customer loyalty and helps you outperform brand and price combined. So when we look at those kinds of statistics, we have to take a holistic approach. It just makes no business sense not to. And so by really mapping both the online and offline touch points, we're looking at the total omni-channel experience. I might go from the website, I might go to a physical touch point, I might go to a store to look at something and evaluate that product. I might go back to, the website. Maybe that time it's on my mobile phone. We have to really understand at what moments are we trying to influence and drive and support the user in fulfilling what they're trying to do. And what really, really helps with that is 2 things that organizations are challenged with in looking at that customer journey. One is that they need to start from a very empathetic place. We need to understand what the emotions are that drive their motivations, and the really getting deeper into the influences that surround them, so we can develop better customer experiences at each of those touch points. You had a previous guest who mentioned that she uses empathy mapping to help, develop brand messaging. We do the same thing. Empathy mapping is an incredibly wonderful UX tool. That's a tool that we use and do a lot of work with our clients and to help them rethink what they know about their customer. And then we go talk to customers and we actually can go validate that insight, and then we can go uncover new insights for them when they look at that journey. The other major thing is helping people understand it's more important to fall in love with the problem than it is the solution.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is our products and services are here to solve a problem. It's here to meet a very specific need. And when we fall in love with the solution, we start to lose perspective on what our product or service needs to do. And so this is where you start to see products that all of a sudden have tons of features that you barely ever use, or lots of bloat that creates tons of technical and design debt for an organization. And they're very slow to get new solutions out there. And it crushes team performance. And all of these compounding issues start to happen and start to erode your customer experience and the quality and value of your product. So we really focus on those 2 major facets of when we look at the entire picture, we want to look at that through the lens of empathy and the problem we're here to solve. And that's how we create measurable value.
Well, Jonathon, I think we unpacked just so much here today. It was just really, really awesome. What's the best way that someone could reach out and connect with you and just see if your digital consulting services could help their firm?
The best way to get a hold of us is come visit our website at emergeinteractive.com. We've got also tons of great free resources for people visiting the site, everything from strategy to design thinking and how to plan and select the best technologies. That our team is putting out new and fresh content every week that I'd encourage listeners to check out. And then also at the end of the year, I'll have a book coming out on digital product strategy and how to overcome internal sabotage and product failure.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'll make sure that website is right in our show notes. And as listeners to this podcast, we are up over 525 episodes. So I would appreciate getting your review on iTunes. Just visit ratethispodcast.com/influential and put in your review. And I thank you so much. And Jonathon, thanks for coming on the show today. I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.